Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Snapshot. Today I have the privilege of having Marco Island's Fire and Rescue Chief Mike Murphy with me, and we're going to discuss some issues that have come up in the last year or so that are important to you, our viewers on Marco Island. Chief, welcome to the show.
Good morning, thank you.
And why don't we start with a little background. Tell us today what happens if somebody were to have an event and call 911.
Sure. The system right now, when you dial 911, what happens is it goes to the Collier County Sheriff's Office, and they in turn dispatch our fire trucks. Once that fire truck is notified, we respond to the scene, or the ambulance will respond to the scene with the information that you provide to the call intake. So when you talk to 911 and they're holding you on the line, believe it or not, the issue is that we have already been dispatched to that scene in most calls. Once we arrive on your scene or at the scene, depending on whether it's a medical or a fire, we take the appropriate treatment. On Marco Island, and I use props a lot, on Marco Island, the fire truck that arrives on the scene has paramedics on board. And you, the taxpayers of Marco Island, through your taxes, pay for that fire truck and for the paramedics that are on that system. The county has the ambulance service, and the county is the one that transports you to the hospital when you need transport to the hospital. And so we interchange our personnel on these vehicles. We have our paramedics actually on the county ambulance, and they have a paramedic placed on one of our fire trucks. So when you dial 911, you can be assured in your medical emergency that someone is arriving who can take care of your heart attack, your stroke, your injury, your child's asthma case, can take care of it immediately. After that, you are transported to the hospital by an EMS unit that is owned by the county, and they in turn will bill you for that service.
So if I understand you correctly, we have two services, one being the fire component,
correct,
the other one being the EMS component, and the EMS is controlled by the county.
That's correct.
Okay.
In the state of Florida, counties are given the authority to control EMS, or who will provide EMS within a county. In Collier County, the county government has determined that only the county government can transport within the county. So they do all the paramedic transport. Also, they have, through interlocal agreements, 14 years ago we entered into an interlocal agreement with Collier County so that our paramedics that we hire can help and assist you off the fire trucks and carry the equipment, and we will be able to save lives, because often, in many cases, the fire truck is there many minutes before an EMS ambulance might show up. And our statistic right now is that in 96% of the cases, there's a county standard that says that you can travel time of an ambulance from the time they go en route till they arrive at your house must be within 8 minutes 90% of the time. And on Marco Island, because the fire trucks do that service and the ambulance does the service, we are at 96% of the time for travel time.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, a person that is now in your care and that has the right to choose the hospital that they are taken to unless it's a dire emergency, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
In most services, you can request what facility you wish to go to. However, under state law, a medical director of an EMS service can also determine where you are to go. So in the case of, if you're having a heart attack in Collier County and we know it's a heart attack, you will be transported to NCH downtown. That's where you will go. If you have a child in acute distress, that child will go to North Collier up on Immokalee. So there are certain types of calls that must go to certain facilities.
Let's move forward a little bit. A few weeks ago, I had the privilege of attending the Fire Rescue Foundation's
Great
luncheon,
event.
annual luncheon, terrific luncheon, and it was packed. I mean, they couldn't have fit 2 more people in that place. And what I took from that is that when you got up and talked about the changing environment with respect to how the county is going to look at EMS, I want you to talk to our viewers about how that manifestation is going to take place and your particular points on that.
Sure. To begin the whole process, the city of Marco Island is a city, a municipality, and under Florida law, you're granted what's called home rule. You have certain powers as a municipality, and when Marco became a city, they were granted those powers, and that's how you receive law enforcement, police, that's how you receive parks and rec. Through your city taxes, you have local controls of these issues. The city of Marco, as an example, has its own police department, which under Florida law you can. Okay. And you are granted that right, but you still have to pay the sheriff for those services.
Okay.
Because he's a constitutional officer. But you can choose to do that. However, there is one service within the state of Florida where home rule does not apply, and that is emergency medical
EMS,
services, EMS. A county by state law is given that authority to say what paramedics in the county can work, what cities can provide services, what type of EMS services you can provide. So as I referenced before, in Collier County, they control the EMS system, and they do it through what is called a Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity. So they grant that to people if they choose to or desire to allow them to provide that service. So the one service on Marco Island we've never had control over from being a city is EMS.
EMS. Okay.
And by law, the county does control that.
Okay.
So recent events in the county, we have, and I want to tell you, you have the best service on Marco Island. Our firefighter paramedics and their firefighter paramedics, we work seamless. This is not an issue involving the care you receive in the street or those great people that are doing a job. This is more of a political issue, and it is an issue of level of service and control of those services, and who shall determine that. So in Collier County, our county commission, and I must point out that Donna Fiala has been an advocate for the city, an advocate. And she is on our side on these issues, but she is only one voice out of 5. But there are county commissioners who have, and it is a long-standing direction given by the county commission that they will turn EMS over, the ambulances over, to an independent countywide district, a special taxing district. That's
okay.
their direction. And we've known about this for a while. That's been their goal for a period of time. But recent events have accelerated that goal. And no matter what people say, well, don't worry about it, it will be years from now. Well, on March 15th, 90 days before March 15th, the county commission put a ballot question on the March 15th ballot. And that ballot question said, would you be in favor of a unified fire and EMS system, independent special district, be in favor of that, and that district would be governed by an independent governing body, and they would have taxing authority. So logically, this question appears on March 15th, and there's no data to support it. It's not saying your taxes are going to go up, your taxes are going to go down, but 64% of the citizens on March 15th voted in favor of doing that. There are special interest groups out there, and obviously the county commission is supporting this issue, so on the majority. And so what is going to happen to our services? independent taxing districts outside of the city will not give us a voice. They will not give us a vote. We won't control it. So we are in a predicament where...
You're held hostage in essence.
Right, exactly. They can determine, unlike in the past, a good example. Over the last couple of years, our commission has felt we needed 2 full-time EMS transport vehicles, the ambulances, on Marco Island. And they approached our county commission and said, we want 2 full-time transport vehicles. Yeah. We pay taxes to the county. We deserve this. Our residents shouldn't have to wait for ambulances. And they approached the county 3 years ago. And the county said, well, we'll let you have it for 4 months, January through April, and we'll only do it between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. So they determined our level of service. And as a retort to that, the commission said, well, here's all our data. We truly believe we pay taxes. We want these extra services. Well, it was determined that 4 months would be okay. And then our commissioners went back under Councilman Patrica, went back and said, again, the next year, we want 2 full-time, and we got an extra month. So even on the county level, we really don't control the EMS service level. And we have a lot of calls where we wait for ambulances, and the county does a good job of trying to supply that, but there are times when we have to wait, and the people that are treating you are the paramedics. So it's an issue of control. It's an issue of level of service and determination of that. You determined you wanted your own police department, you wanted that extra quality of care, and that opportunity existed, it was done, and I think you're happy with your services. But on the issue of EMS, the county, it appears, is getting out of the business of EMS to a degree. They are going to eventually give it over to a taxing district. I believe once the voters have spoken on the unincorporated areas, they're going to do this.
And that's a separate board.
It's
that
a separate
governs that particular
governing
taxing
body.
district. Okay.
And if you remember, for those of you who have been here a while on Marco, you used to have a special taxing fire district.
Before we were incorporated.
Before you were incorporated.
Yes.
And you dissolved that district in order to have a city and determine those levels, and kept the fire department service as part of that.
Exactly.
Now, a Marco Island taxpayer might say, well, what's the difference? Why don't I let an independent district provide those services? What is it going to do to me? Well, if you have no voice or no vote, it's going to have an impact on you, because when they determine what millage rate they wish to charge for fire and EMS services, you're going to end up paying that.
Well, you've got to pick up the slack from the outlying areas of the county.
That's correct. On Marco Island, your fire service is costing approximately 0.62 mils. So if you look at your tax bill, you have a 2.0466 tax bill. About 0.62 mils of that is going for fire. When you drive across the bridge, everywhere in Collier County, they have independent fire taxing districts and dependent taxing districts. And when you drive across the bridge, that fire department is costing you 2 mil. When you go down to Everglades City, they're paying 4. And how does that translate into dollars? You're paying 62 cents for fire service.
Right.
They're paying $2 for fire service. In Ochopee, they're paying $4 for fire service. In Immokalee, they're paying over $3. In Corkscrew, they're paying over $3.
So can we suggest that the intent was to balance that?
Oh, absolutely.
But it was nearsighted.
Well, there's no data to say who's going to be impacted in what way.
Exactly.
So the straw ballot question, if you were paying 4 mil, why would you not vote to do this?
Sure.
And now what the county government has done is there's a $27 million EMS system that they are operating that they're going to turn over to this independent district. And Skip, what the bottom line here is, and the most important part of this whole issue is, don't you want control over the level of care that you will receive when you dial 911, whether it's for your child, your mother, your husband, the person you love. When you pick up that phone and you dial it, and you dial 911, local control will give you determination over the best possible care will arrive on the scene, and nobody else, not the county, not an outside source, determines what that will be.
Now, Mike, how do the cities fall into that? We have Naples and we have Marco Island, and then you have the county, the outlying areas. Distinguish, if you will, how the vote that was taken this past week affects that.
Well, number one is that cities were not included in because, as the county government will tell you, we are a municipality and we do have home rule. And they'll also say to you, or people will say to you, why don't you vote on the same question? Well, my answer would be, what's the data? Show me the information.
Right.
How much is it going to cost a Marco resident? What is going to happen, or just a prediction, is that when these districts combine and they take EMS over, they will control transport, they will control paramedic services,
Sure.
and they can turn around to us and say, you know what? Your fire trucks can't do paramedic work anymore. And by the way, we're going to put our fire department ambulance in your fire station because the county gave us the COPCN. And they'll say, well, after a year or two, they'll say, hey, guess what?
COPCN, would you, for our viewers,
Okay.
again, remind us what that
A
is?
certificate, it's called a Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity. It is the license that allows you, from the county, a certificate that allows you to do paramedic work. So in other words, if I was a state certified paramedic and I worked on our fire department, unless the county grants us that right, or we have this interlocal agreement, we can't do anything.
And that's renewable how often?
Every year.
Every year?
Every year.
Okay. Looking at the picture as you have pointed out, where are we going now with this situation of the new taxing district?
Well, interestingly enough, the fact is that our commission stays up on these issues, and they've been watching what's been going on, or I should say our council stays up on these issues, and they've been watching what's been going on, and they've been ahead of this issue. And they have, through councilman to the council chair, the first step was there was a direction of a letter to be written to the county commission out to our citizens saying, email the county commission and tell them you're not really happy with what's going on and we're concerned about our EMS. And they have taken multiple steps of actions to inform the public as to what's going on. And your voices are being heard. Emails are being sent to the county commission supporting the fact that Marco is a municipality. We want home rule, and we want to be able to provide our own ambulance service and paramedic service, and we want the county to give us the COPCN to do that. So we are asking them, give us that certificate, like the police department runs a certain level, we wish to run a certain level. And we wish to be the determining factor of that level. We don't want somebody saying one day, we go up and we ask for 2 units and they say, no, we'll give you 1.5. Or we see the need for 2 units, just like how many fire trucks do we need? We determine that. And we do a very great job at it, especially when you consider we're doing it at probably less than 1/3 of anybody else in the county on cost factors. And so...
Well, and your response time is outstanding, Mike.
Exactly. And it's local control. You walk in the fire station, you see the same person there every single day.
Right.
And you have control of those people. It's a hometown. It's your determination. So our council has gone in that direction. We've done a series of information. This last go around, or March 7th, they passed a resolution, a draft resolution. And that draft resolution was written in the county format so that the county commissioners could act on it. and actually pass it. And we sent it to our commissioner, Donna Fiala, who's the chairman, and it will be on next Tuesday's agenda.
Okay.
And on that agenda, this resolution says if Marco Island comes before us and wants their own certificate of public convenience and necessity to run paramedic and ambulance services, that we, the county commission, will support that. And we understand we need to meet certain criteria that we are going to increase our capabilities and make our system better. And we want them to say, we will support you when we come in.
Sure.
And it won't stop this letter writing campaign, but it will alleviate the concerns of our residents and of our council and people who are looking at this issue who have the foresight to look down the road and say, you know what? We will adversely be impacted. We're going to be in a situation where we have no control. We have no voice over our level of service at some given point, no matter where the county does it. And even right now, we have limited control and voice over it. And the only sure way to make sure that we're doing what we can for the best interests of our citizens with fiduciary responsibility is through having our own COPCN.
Well, our citizens are paying the freight, aren't they?
They are, and they're paying it through county taxes right now. You're paying it through county taxes to support the ambulances countywide, not just on Marco Island.
Absolutely.
It's a $27 million budget.
Now, knowing that this commission meeting is coming up, is there something our citizens should know? Do you want people there? What can they do to support your interests on Marco?
Number one is let your voice be heard to the county commissioners. Call their offices, send emails out to them, and tell them, please support Marco's request for a COPCN and support this resolution. That's number one. Number two is to stay involved. Come down to the fire station, find out what I am talking about and see it in your own hands. Come into the fire station, talk to the paramedics that are out there saving lives every day, and you'll see the dedication that 50 years of service to our community is there. These people have been here 30 years, and what a dynamic group of individuals. And even the county employees. Come down and talk to them. The positive side to this is your service is going to not only equal what it is now, but probably increase. Wouldn't it be nice to know that the second ambulance, there's 2 ambulances on Marco Island all the time, 24 hours, 7 days a week, and you as a resident have a minimal wait to get transported to the hospital. And secondly, wouldn't it be nice that some of that revenue comes back to the city to help offset our services? But it's an issue of level of service. The next thing you can do is, please, if you have the time, attend the county commission meeting this upcoming next Tuesday.
Yep.
It will be on the agenda. Go on the website, look where it is on the agenda, and come by. Or better yet, even contact our city council, Councilman Brown, and let them know of your support. And what would be nice is organizations to send a representative and let Councilman Brown know you're in the audience. You don't have to speak, but if you let him know you're there, it would be great.
That's excellent. The other thing I would encourage is that Marco Island has a fire and rescue foundation that's very active. I believe Deanna Dome is the president of that organization, but you can stop at the firehouse and get information on the Fire Foundation, and I would encourage everybody to take a look at that and consider joining. I want to thank Coastal Breeze News again for their support of this program, to bring programs like this to you, the citizens of Marco. And Mike, we thank you very much for taking your time and joining us here today.
And I would like to thank the community for your support. I've been here 15 years now, and I must tell you, you have the best of the best in the personnel that you've hired in your city. And they are out there every day. They are saving lives. They use their skills to save your lives. And at this point in time, it's an excellent opportunity to take and help us assist in getting control of the one issue that we do not control on Marco Island, and that's EMS, which perhaps is one of the most critical issues
Vital.
in reference to saving of lives. Because if we can't administer drugs and we can't do the things we're trained to do, and we're relegated to listening to somebody else tell us what we can and can't do, the impact is on you, the citizens, and on you, the people that call 911. So please take the time to get involved. And at some point, I hope to see you when we go before the County Commission in sometime over the summer with our COPCN request in hand, then be there with us, standing up in the County Commission chambers. And I just want to thank you, Skip, and Coastal Breeze for affording the opportunity to do this. And what a great thing you're doing to the community and informing them what's going on. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it.